My friends, this is the point where many of us get fooled, where we stumble. Not because we're weak, but because we still believe the illusion. It's when they start acting like nothing ever happened, like your absence is just another Tuesday. They go online, post their smiling selfies, hang with friends, talk like life couldn't be better. Calm, laughing, focused, as if the storm you walked out of never existed. It feels like you were just a chapter in their story, easily skipped, easily replaced. But listen to me closely, this is the mask talking. What you're seeing is not truth. It's theater. It's the ego in its most defensive disguise. Carl Jung once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." And this, folks, is exactly that. A soul avoiding itself. They're not over you. They're avoiding the truth that your silence has exposed. You see, silence has a strange way of pulling masks off. It doesn't scream. It doesn't chase. It just sits there like a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. When someone realizes they're no longer the center of your world, they go into bluff mode. It's like a poker game. They'll hold their cards tight, keep their face still, pretend like losing you meant nothing. But inside, the game is falling apart. They're hoping you'll break first, that you'll reach out, that you'll check in, question yourself, crawl back into their frame. Because if you do, they win. Control returns to their hands, and your silence, your most powerful stance, gets thrown away like a discarded weapon. But here's what the Stoics knew, and here's what Jung taught us. Control over the self is the only control that matters. Epictetus said it best, "Circumstances don't make the man, they reveal him." And your silence, it's revealing more in them than they'll ever admit out loud. It's showing who really needs who is actually grounded, and who just acts like it. Their indifference is a crumbling wall, a desperate shell. And cracks are forming, my friends. You may not see it yet, but your absence, it's like water wearing down stone. Slowly, quietly, inevitably. Behind that smile they posted yesterday, behind that story they shared with someone new, there's a flicker of discomfort they can't shake. They're starting to realize that filling a soul-sized void with noise and distractions is like trying to heal a wound with dust. This is when you must remain calm. Don't react. Don't feed the illusion. You are not chasing shadows. You are becoming fire, steady, quiet, untouchable. And while they pretend, you grow. Stay grounded, folks. Stay in your seat of power. The soul that grows in silence becomes unshakable. This is not the end. It's the beginning of your rise. Remember, they are not healed. They're hiding. You are healing out loud by saying nothing. Write this in the comments right now. I hold the power. Type it. Claim it. And if this hit you somewhere deep, press that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. We're just getting started. Chapter 1. The Power of Silence and the Pull of Growth. And this, my friends, is where the real journey begins. Not for them, but for you. The silence you're holding isn't just quiet. It's not just an empty space. It's the forge where your new self is being shaped. It's where the fire gets hotter, not to destroy you, but to refine you. See, people think silence is passive, that it's waiting, that it's doing nothing while time ticks by and hearts hopefully change. But that's a lie, a common one. Real silence, the kind that heals and strengthens, isn't sitting in a corner checking your phone and refreshing their profile. It's not watching their story, hoping it drops a hint of missing you. That's not silence. That's noise disguised as stillness. True silence is a sacred ground. It's when you stop chasing them and start chasing your own soul. It's uncomfortable at first. Let's not pretend it isn't. You'll ask yourself, shouldn't I say something? What if they think I don't care? What if this makes things worse? But ask yourself this: what has chasing ever fixed? What did over-explaining or apologizing for your worth ever heal? Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Silence isn't your punishment, it's your awakening. This is your mirror now. Every day that you choose not to reach out, not to fill the gap with weak words, you reclaim a piece of yourself. You aren't just avoiding them, you're turning toward you, and that is where the real power lives. Imagine this: a garden in winter. From the outside, it looks lifeless. Bare trees, frozen soil, no bloom in sight. But deep under the frost, roots are strengthening. Life is still pushing silently toward spring. In silence, your roots are growing. The leaves will come later. So let them wear their mask. Let them play the part. The louder they pretend, the quieter you become. And that silence, that's pressure. They feel it. Like a room that used to echo with your voice, now filled with stillness they can't interpret. They'll try to ignore it, try to fill the void with distractions, maybe even people. But silence is the kind of presence that doesn't vanish. It lingers, it hums like a forgotten song they can't quite turn off. Some of you are thinking, but what if they don't care at all? And I get it. That thought stings. But let me ask you this: if they don't care, what exactly are you clinging to? A memory? A fantasy? A version of them that only existed when you were bending over backwards to feel seen? My friends, if silence reveals their indifference, then let it. Better to know now than to keep investing in a lie. That truth may cut, but it also clears the fog, and clarity is power. Stoicism teaches us not to seek control over others, but mastery over ourselves. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This moment is your threshold. The past is behind you, but the future isn't theirs to write. It's yours. Right now is when you decide what your silence becomes. It can be a prison, or it can be your training ground. You can sit with your phone waiting, or you can stand up and build something worth becoming. Go to the gym, start journaling, rebuild your discipline, clean your space, set goals, read books, reconnect with your purpose. One silent day at a time, you turn the focus inward. That's what they don't expect. That's what hits different. Because when they finally look back, you won't be the same person who waited for them. You'll be the one who walked away and turned into something greater. And the day will come, sooner than they think, when their mask starts to suffocate, when that fake calm starts itching like a coat that no longer fits. When the silence stops feeling like your absence and starts sounding like your presence. That's the beauty of it, folks. You're not just missing from their world, you're becoming undeniable in your own. So here's what I want you to do. Every time you're tempted to break that silence, to explain yourself, to check in, remember this truth. You are not responsible for their awakening. You are responsible for your growth. That is where the real work is. Let them wonder. Let them reach. Let them feel what it means to lose someone who didn't just walk away, but evolved in silence. Let them face the echo of your absence like a mirror to their own neglect. And you keep rising. Now take a deep breath with me. Let the silence settle in your chest like armor. Let it protect you, not punish you. And repeat this with me. I grow in silence. Write that in the comments. Type it out. Make it real. Own it. And if this message lit something in you, if it cracked open a truth you've been holding back, smash that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. We're going even deeper next. The silence is just the beginning. Chapter 2. The Weight of Regret. Now, my friends, we step into the deeper waters. The silence has lingered long enough to stop being a test. It's become a mirror, and what they're seeing in that mirror is beginning to haunt them. At first, they tried to laugh it off, shrug it away, pretend. They told themselves it didn't matter, that you'd be back eventually, that this space you left behind was nothing but a temporary gap. But now that silence is pressing into their chest like a growing weight, and no matter how many distractions they stack on top of it, it finds a way to breathe down their neck. That's regret. You see, regret doesn't arrive with fireworks. It creeps in like a shadow when they're alone, especially when the world quiets down at night. It whispers in the spaces between conversations, in the moments they reach for their phone and realize your name isn't there. It's subtle at first, a small discomfort they try to shake off, but slowly it tightens. They start to remember, not just the good times, but the moments they failed you, the times you reached out and they responded cold, the times you gave everything and they gave half, the moments you stood by them and they acted like it was nothing. Those aren't memories anymore. They're echoes, loud, relentless, and now unavoidable. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That's what they're facing. The unconscious is rising and it's wearing your face. Imagine them walking through their day and suddenly remembering the look in your eyes the last time you tried to connect, the words you once said that now sound like gold, the way you loved them in a way that wasn't casual, wasn't shallow, it was sacred, and they shrugged it off. They dismissed the sacred, and now that dismissal is replaying in their mind on a loop they can't stop. Regret is not just emotional, it's spiritual. It touches the soul, because it's not only about what they lost, it's about who they became when they didn't see your worth. That's the part that hurts the most, not your absence, but the version of themselves they were when they had you and didn't appreciate you. That's the ghost they now live with. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff, looking back at a bridge they burned, and realizing they don't have the tools to rebuild it. Not because the bridge can't be built again, but because you've already started walking toward something greater. That's where regret deepens. Not in the loss itself, but in knowing they can't just walk back and pick up where things left off. Too much has changed. You've changed. They won't say it. They might even pretend nothing's wrong. They may keep posting, smiling, laughing with others. But inside, a silence has settled, a silence louder than your presence ever was. And that, my friends, is the soul beginning to stir. You know why it's so hard for them? Because they thought you'd always be there. Because they believed their actions wouldn't have consequences, because they never imagined a version of reality where you loved yourself more than you needed them. But that's exactly where you are now, and the longer you stay silent, the deeper their reckoning becomes. You are no longer the one asking, "Do they miss me?" Now they're the one wondering if they still matter to you at all. That shift in power doesn't come from revenge. It comes from growth, from walking away without shouting, from standing still while their soul starts spinning. But you may still ask, why do I feel guilty? That's natural, because you're kind, because you're human. But let me remind you, you are not responsible for the healing of someone who wounded you. You are not obligated to make them comfortable in the discomfort they created. Regret is the teacher life sends when people refuse to learn through love. And this is their class now. Seneca said, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." What they're feeling now is the finality of what they had with you, an ending they thought would never truly come. But it has, and you didn't slam the door. You simply walked through it without looking back. This isn't about punishment, it's about realization, about truth. They're not just missing you, they're realizing that they never truly saw you, that the very thing they treated as ordinary was extraordinary all along. And you, my friend, are rising. Let that motivate you. You are not waiting in pain, you are walking in purpose. This silence you hold is not hollow. It is holy. It's not the absence of noise. It's the presence of power. So when they finally feel the weight of what they let slip, let them. Let them feel it in full. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. Because until they face their regret, they'll never understand your worth. And until they see themselves clearly, they'll never be able to offer anything real. Breathe in and affirm this with me. I am not their lesson. I am my own liberation. Type it in the comments, claim it, let it be your reminder. And if this spoke to your heart, if it helped you see what you're really carrying, press that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. We're not done, we're just getting deeper. Chapter 3. Let them sit in it. Now listen closely, my friends, because this is the part that tests your heart. Regret has begun to whisper to them. It's not subtle anymore. It's in their bloodstream now. But instead of sitting with it, most people do what they've always done. They run. They cover it. They pretend. They wrap their shame in pride and wear indifference like armor. They laugh louder, post more, get busier, try harder to appear untouched. But beneath it all, a storm is brewing that no filter can hide. Inside, they're folding. They're thinking about every moment they dismissed your presence, every kind gesture they shrugged off, every word you spoke from your soul that they didn't even hear. It hits in flashes, in grocery stores, during slow songs, in the silence before sleep. And it burns, not because you're gone, but because they let you leave without ever realizing what they had. Carl Jung called this the shadow. It's the part of the self we refuse to face, the side buried under ego and fear. And when silence draws that shadow out, there's nowhere left to hide. They are now dancing with that shadow, awkwardly, painfully, because it's showing them who they were when they had you, and who they've become since they lost you. And here's where things get tricky for you. Because if you're an empathic soul, if your heart still has love in it, you might start to feel their ache without even speaking to them. You might feel pulled to reach out, to soften the blow, to say, "I understand," or "It's okay," or "I still care." But you must not. This is not cruelty. This is discipline. This is strength. This is love. But for yourself. My friends, it is not your job to rescue someone from the emotional fire they built with their own hands. They are not victims of your silence. They are standing in the consequences of their choices, and it's only by facing that fire that they'll learn anything real. If you step in now, if you save them from the very lesson life is trying to teach them, they'll never grow. You'll become the buffer again, the one who absorbs the weight, softens the sting, makes the fall easier to bear. But aren't you tired of being their cushion while they stay careless? This is their journey now, not yours. Let them sit in it. Let the regret do what it's meant to do. Break them open. Let them feel the full weight of your absence, not out of revenge, but out of necessity. This is where transformation either begins or dies. And it must be theirs to choose. They need to feel the ache of your silence in its rawest form. The silence that doesn't just echo, but convicts. The silence that makes them realize that love is not a guarantee. That presence is a gift, that you were never obligated to stay in a place where you were undervalued. And you hold your ground. You stay in your seat of power, because the moment you reach out to relieve their suffering, you strip them of their awakening. You interrupt their mirror. You make it easy for them to forget again. And you can't afford to be forgotten again, can you? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Just that you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter." And the right thing here is silence, not to punish, but to protect what you've built within yourself. You see, regret isn't a punishment, it's a teacher, and good teachers don't speak softly, they speak truth. The best ones don't just tell you what you did wrong, they let you sit in it until you feel it. That's what this moment is for them, a classroom where you are the silent lesson, a reflection of what they could have cherished but chose to overlook. Let the stillness teach them. Let the distance remind them. Let your absence do what your presence could not. Wake them up. And yes, you might feel lonely. Yes, you might miss them, but don't confuse your missing them with a sign that they've changed. Missing someone is a human thing, but honoring yourself through that ache, that's divine. That's where you turn pain into purpose. So take a deep breath with me. Settle into this moment, not with anger, but with knowing. The path you're on isn't easy, but it's necessary. You are worth more than a half-hearted apology. You are worth more than their delayed clarity. You are not here to hold space for someone else's delayed realization. You're here to build, to evolve, to protect the soul that you finally started listening to, your own. So let them sit in it, let them learn, and let your strength rise in silence. Repeat after me, I am worth more. Write that in the comments right now. Declare it. Type it like your life depends on it, because your peace does. And if this message found you at the right time, if it stirred something deep in your heart, press that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. We're not done yet. The silence will keep speaking, and what's ahead is even more powerful. Chapter 4. Facing the mask and the substitutes. If you're still here, if these words have stirred something in your soul, then take a breath. Let's pause, not to retreat, but to reflect. You've come far, further than you might think, and I want you to ask yourself with all honesty, have I taken the leap into silence, or am I still clinging to echoes, still wrestling with hope disguised as doubt? Wherever you are on this path, know this: there's no shame in the struggle. Growth is not linear. Some days you'll feel like a warrior, other days like a wounded child. But the fact that you're still here, still listening, still feeling, means you haven't given up on yourself. So drop a keep it up in the comments if you're walking this road with me, because this journey isn't just about them realizing what they lost. It's about you realizing what you've gained and what you're still becoming. Now let's go deeper, because after regret comes resistance, and this is where they start fighting reality, not directly, but through distraction. You see, sitting with pain requires courage, and most people never learned how to do that. So instead of facing the raw ache, they reach for masks. Not literal ones, but emotional disguises, pretending to be okay, pretending to have moved on, telling themselves and the world, I'm fine. But it's not truth, it's self-protection. They fill their days with noise. They start talking more, laughing louder, maybe even rushing into someone new, not out of love, but out of fear. Carl Jung said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." And that's exactly what's happening now. They're not healing, they're hiding. You'll see them on social media with new faces, new plans, new happiness. But look closer. That smile doesn't reach the eyes. That joy feels rushed. That love feels hollow. Because what they're really doing is performing. It's like putting a band-aid on a broken bone. You can't cover spiritual fractures with external noise. You can't replace a soul-deep connection with a quick distraction. It doesn't matter how many parties, people, or plans they throw on top of it. The void is still there. And here's what most won't admit. Substitutes don't satisfy, not when what you had was real, not when the person they lost was rooted, present, and authentic. You weren't casual, you were home, and home isn't something you can recreate with someone you barely know or something you just bought. They're starting to feel that, even if they don't say it. The more they try to replace you, the more obvious it becomes. It's not working. The silence you left behind is louder than anything they can use to drown it out. It's echoing through every fake smile and every empty conversation. But don't mistake their performance for peace. And don't let their distraction undo your discipline, because you've done the work, you've chosen stillness, you've chosen yourself. And no matter how tempting it is to believe their mask, remember, it's not real. It's just a shield they've built to protect themselves from the truth, a truth they're still too scared to face. And you're no longer chasing truth. You are the truth. You don't need to scream it. You don't need to prove it. Your silence has already spoken. So take a deep breath. Let their noise be theirs. Let their performance be what it is. You don't need to match it. You don't need to explain. All you need to do is continue. You're growing in ways they can't see, and while they run in circles trying to fill a void, you are planting roots. You are becoming someone whose presence cannot be substituted. And now affirm this with me. I cannot be replaced. Write it in the comments. Speak it into the silence. And if this reached into a quiet place inside you, press that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. The masks are cracking. And what comes next will be undeniable. Chapter 5. The False Replacements. Here's the truth. No one likes to say out loud, my friends. You can't replace something real with something temporary, not without feeling the emptiness stretch even wider. At this point, they're trying. Really trying. They're smiling more, posting louder, surrounding themselves with unfamiliar faces who don't ask deep questions and won't mention your name. They flood their life with noise, with movement, with energy that looks like healing. But healing doesn't look like distraction. Healing looks like stillness. And stillness, as you've come to learn, is the one thing they're not ready to face. What they're chasing right now is a feeling, one they once had with you, but they don't realize that what you offered can't be mimicked or manufactured. It wasn't performative. It wasn't surface level. You didn't just fill space in their life. You filled depth. You were their mirror, their anchor, their soul compass, and you didn't have to shout to be any of that. So now they're entering the phase of quiet comparison. It's not conscious at first, but it happens all the same. In the way that laughter feels forced now. In the way their conversations with new people lack depth. In how someone can sit beside them and still not see them. Not like you did. Because let's be clear, you weren't just someone, you were home. And when someone's tasted that, nothing else really satisfies. It's like drinking salt water when you're thirsty. It might look like relief, but the more they consume, the emptier they feel. Carl Jung said, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you." And that's what they're sitting in now, a circle of noise that doesn't speak their language, an audience that claps for the mask but doesn't see the soul underneath. The new people, they don't get it. They don't ask, "Are you really okay?" with that kind of stillness behind their eyes. They don't notice the subtle shifts in mood. They don't feel the undercurrent of fear in their silence. They just smile, nod, and keep things light. Surface connections can't carry the weight of a soul that's grieving something deeper than it will admit. And so they find themselves floating, engaged in motion, but disconnected from meaning. This is when the mask starts to tighten, not fall off, yet, but definitely tighten. It becomes uncomfortable. The smiles don't stretch as wide. The conversations leave them emptier. The distraction begins to feel more like a burden than a balm. Because when something real leaves your life and you try to plug the void with something shallow, the soul knows. It knows. You might fool the world, but you can't fool the part of you that still remembers what authenticity feels like. They begin to remember the way your presence made them feel stable, safe, seen, the way you didn't need them to perform, the way your love didn't demand perfection, but it did require honesty. And now, faced with surface-level substitutes, they realize just how rare that kind of connection really was. And you, my friend, may be wondering, should I feel sorry for them? Should I take their return, if it happens, as a sign of growth? But let me remind you, growth is not about returning. It's about reflection. And if they're still running from their truth, they're not ready for your presence again. This is where your clarity becomes your compass. You are not someone to be replaced. You are not someone to be forgotten until boredom or loneliness knocks them into nostalgia. You are not a chapter to be reread when the current story fails to entertain. You are a soul of substance, and substance cannot be swapped for something more convenient. So let them try, let them chase, let them experience the hollowness of what they thought could fill your space. You don't need to compete. You don't need to prove. Your absence is already doing what words could never do. It's showing them what can't be replicated. And as they struggle with the hollowness, you continue to rise, not because they've fallen, but because you've chosen yourself. You're learning now that not everyone deserves a second entrance into your peace, that not everyone can be trusted with your depth, that being missed is not the same as being ready. So don't trade your growth for their guilt. Don't abandon your clarity for their confusion. This is your season to remain still, silent, and sacred. And say this with me now, not as a whisper, but as a vow. I am not replaceable. Type it in the comments right now. Make it your truth. Let it echo through your silence and radiate from your strength. And if this hit home, if it reminded you of who you are and what they lost, press that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what comes next will shake everything loose. Chapter 6. The Truth Comes Through. There comes a moment when even the best performance begins to crack. The smile grows tired, the laughter starts to feel rehearsed, the distractions lose their color, and it's in that silence, in that uneasy stillness, that the truth begins to break through the mask. At first, they don't recognize it. They mistake it for restlessness, for frustration, for boredom. But slowly, with each substitute that fails to satisfy, with each moment that reminds them of what used to feel like home, they begin to hear it, not in their ears, but in their soul. And what it whispers is simple. You mattered. They may never say it out loud. Their pride might be too loud. Their fear might still be stronger than their honesty. But make no mistake, something in them knows. Deep down, beneath the ego and behind the mask, they've begun to feel the weight of your absence. And more importantly, the weight of your presence when they had it. Because there's only so long you can lie to yourself before the soul begins to rebel. Carl Jung taught us that the soul isn't interested in appearances. It doesn't care how many followers you have, how attractive your new distractions are, or how often you smile in public. The soul wants truth. And when it doesn't get it, it grows restless, agitated, unsettled. That's where they are now. They're not just remembering you, they're reckoning with the reality that what they once had was rare, that the energy you brought into their life wasn't casual or replaceable. It was sacred, it was honest, it was real. And now that you're gone, they're realizing just how impossible it is to recreate that level of depth. But here's what matters even more. By now, you've changed. You're not standing where they left you. You're not frozen in that final memory, waiting for them to circle back. While they've been scrambling to replace what they didn't fully value, you've been rising. You've grown, you've healed, you've reconnected with the part of yourself that no longer looks outward for validation. You've learned, maybe through pain, maybe through tears, but learned that your worth does not live in someone else's recognition. It lives in your own acceptance, your own peace. You are not who you were. The old version of you might have waited for closure, might have doubted your strength, might have accepted breadcrumbs and begged them to mean something, but not anymore. Now, you know that love isn't proven in the noise someone makes after you're gone, but in the care they showed while you were still there. And when that care was missing, you chose to walk away, not in bitterness, but in boldness. Because you're not bitter, you're better, not because they hurt you, but because you refused to let that hurt define you. You built something stronger from the ashes, something steadier, something sacred, not for them, not for show, but for you. And while they face their slow awakening, you stand rooted in yours. Calm, whole, quietly powerful. This is your turning point, and the beauty of it is, you don't need them to admit anything for the truth to be real. You don't need their apology to validate your worth. The truth comes through, with or without their words, because the soul always knows what the mouth refuses to say. So let the silence speak for you now. Let the growth be the answer. Let your peace be the proof. Take this moment, breathe deeply, and repeat these words with me, not as a hope, but as a declaration of who you've become. I've outgrown the pain. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Let it be your reminder that this journey was never about winning them back. It was about finding yourself again. And if this touched something in your heart, if it gave you language for what you've been feeling quietly inside, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. The deeper we go, the clearer it all becomes. You're not waiting anymore. You're walking forward, and nothing can stop what you're becoming now. Chapter 7. The Final Shift, From Their Regret to Your Rise. Now we arrive at the turning point, the final shift, and this time it's not about them, not their reaction, not their silence, not their regret. This is about you. All this time you thought the silence was for them, to make them notice, to make them feel what you felt. But now you see it clearly. The silence wasn't for them, it was for you, to clear the noise, to strip away illusions, to bring you back to you. Because this wasn't about getting their attention, it was about reclaiming your own. You stopped chasing their validation. You stopped asking questions that were never answered. You stopped trying to prove your worth to someone who didn't have the eyes to see it. And somewhere in that stillness, something changed. You stopped wondering if they'd come back, and started asking, do I even want them back? That, my friends, is the shift. You're not standing in the same place anymore. You've evolved, quietly, deeply, patiently. You've grown into someone they don't recognize, not because you've become someone else, but because you've finally become yourself. You've stopped hoping for closure from someone who was never open in the first place. You've stopped waiting to be seen by someone who refused to look deeper. You no longer beg to be understood. You choose to be valued. Let that sink in. You don't explain yourself anymore to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. You don't carry the weight of their confusion. You don't apologize for needing honesty, consistency, or depth. These are not too much. These are your standards now. And should they ever come back, knocking, texting, showing up in your life with all the right words and the perfect timing, they will be facing someone different. Not colder, but clearer. Not angrier, but stronger. Not guarded, but guided. You no longer operate from the place of fear, longing, or scarcity. You've tasted solitude. You've witnessed your own growth. And now you know that peace isn't found in people. It's found in alignment, in honoring your soul. Carl Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And that's exactly what this journey has done. It's led you back to yourself. So no, you won't take them back just because they're finally ready. You won't abandon your healing to entertain their awakening. You won't fold just because they remembered too late what you gave too early. You're no longer waiting to be chosen. You've chosen yourself. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real loss they'll feel in the end. Not just that you went silent, but that you stayed silent. That when they were finally ready to reach for you, you were no longer in reach. Not out of revenge, not out of pride, but because you simply moved forward, fully, completely, unapologetically. Because you now understand that real healing doesn't come when they apologize. It comes when you stop needing one. Real closure doesn't arrive in their words. It's born in your decision to no longer shrink, to fit what they never had the capacity to hold. You've become the version of yourself that was buried beneath the need to be loved by someone else. And now you walk in that version with peace, with purpose, with presence. So let this be your final affirmation in this chapter. I have risen beyond them. Write it in the comments. Let it echo in your own heart. Let it remind you every time you're tempted to look back that you have become the person you were always meant to be. Through the silence, through the stillness, through the strength you didn't know you had until you were forced to use it. And if this final shift felt like yours, if you've grown, if you've healed, if you've reclaimed even a piece of yourself, press that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. Because this isn't just the end of their chapter, it's the beginning of your rise. To wrap this up, my friends, remember this: your silence wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. You didn't lose them, you found you. This journey has never been about their return, it's been about your rise. And now, you walk forward with clarity, strength, and unshakable peace. If this message spoke to your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so we can keep growing together, layer by layer, truth by truth. Stay grounded. Stay rising. And as always, stay with me. Your story is just beginning.